Hi, it's Paul Sackers, Good News Planet, speaking to Stephanie Oswald. Hi, Stephanie, how are you?
Good morning, Paul. I'm doing great.
All right, and I can understand why, Stephanie, and I always love speaking with you. You're the editor-in-chief of Travelgirl magazine. You're an international travel expert, and you know a lot of good things about traveling and where to go and how to go and all the nitty-gritty of making it a wonderful opportunity. And we're going to talk about the spring break time and trends and tips, and so give us some good news.
Well, I'll tell you what, this year, Paul, the buzz is all about festivals for spring break and heading into summer. Food festivals, music festivals, and outdoor activities. So sailing, running, even horse races. I think everyone is just really tired of the cold weather and eager to celebrate the sunshine. So it's a really exciting time, a great year for planning a vacation. And at Travel Girl magazine, we're seeing a lot of people planning their spring break vacations around one big event, such as a road race or a music festival, and then relaxing afterwards with a few days on the beach or maybe exploring a city.
Well, all I can say is this past weekend I attended my nephew's wedding in Miami, and being a New Yorker, I'm exhausted from the weather, and I feel like my spirits have been lifted up 46 times, and then the brain, once it gets a little more sun, it really does. Your hypothalamus, everything improves. So, and I know you have a lot of good places for us to consider. So what are some of the good ones?
Absolutely. Well, I'll give you a few top examples. And yes, the sunshine definitely is great for the spirit and the mojo, and travel can always improve your mojo. That's one of my mantras that we got to go to spiral up in this world. The more you travel, the more educated you become, the more tolerant you become, and the happier you become. But let's talk about some festivals and races and all kinds of fun things. First off, if you're interested in a festival focused on food, there is a really great festival coming up. It's the weekend after Mother's Day, so it's May 17th and 18th. It's called the Blue Crab Festival in Little River, South Carolina. So, and what I like about this festival, it's of course the amazing blue crab, which is one of the best things that comes out of the ocean. But this is really a fun festival with arts and crafts, and they have a fabulous children's area. It's in an area just outside of Myrtle Beach, and if you buy a 2-day advance ticket, it's only $5. So you really can't go wrong with that. And then you've got the beach right there, too. So if you wanted to go to the festival, enjoy the blue crab, have a little fun, and then hang out on the beach for a few days, then you've got that as well.
All right. What else? Where else?
There's one. Now, right here in New Orleans, I always have to talk about my hometown. We have the best, in my opinion, jazz festival in the world that's coming up the last weekend of April, first weekend of May. It's a really big deal. It's so much fun. You've got a blues tent, a gospel tent. There's 2 rock and roll stages, all kinds of local stages with our local Mardi Gras Indian tribes. And I'll tell you what, Paul, I just actually found right here in New Orleans a very small, very cool museum. I did a piece on this for the ABC affiliate down here, WGNO, and I checked out this museum where this man basically has put together a collection. It's called the House of Dance and Feathers, and this man has put together a collection of just all kinds of odds and ends. He started it pre-Katrina, and then it has evolved into this it's basically a giant shed in his backyard. But it's filled with feathers and beads and newspaper clippings and all kinds of relics that remind you how much influence, there's so much Caribbean and African influence right here in New Orleans. And sometimes we forget about that. We forget about the roots of these beautiful performers.
Great town. And where can we find out more about that?
Well, I'll tell you what.
Is that open to the public?
It is. Here's the deal. You have to call, and you have to, and I'll make sure, I'm gonna get that number for you. You have to call to make a reservation because he lets you go down. It's on Tupelo Street in the lower 9th Ward, which was an area that got very much demolished during Katrina. And that's something that a lot of people think, I want to go down there just to go see what got demolished. And it's actually right down the street from the homes, the Make It Right homes that Brad Pitt designed. So you can actually come and see both of them at the same time. But with the House of Dance and Feathers, you do need to make a call. And Ronald Lewis is the man's name. He is the man who's in charge. He says it's okay if you do drop by, but it's much better if you can call ahead. And I'll tell you that number, it is area code 504-957-2678. So if you want to mark that down and send it to put it on your website, it's 504-957-2678. And their website is houseofdanceandfeathers.org. But a really cool place to check out. And it's one of those places you don't have to buy a ticket. There's no lines usually, and there's no parking lot either. So you need to park on the street, lock your car, and then walk back there and talk to Ronald for a while. And you really get a genuine taste of New Orleans and some of the history that's here. I love finding those little places here and there when I travel to a destination. So
not the only one. I love that as well.
So now. Sorry if I got off track there, but I just love talking about some of the neat places you can find when you explore a city. Another trend that we are seeing is, I mentioned that these races are coming up, and I have to tell you, I'm actually going to run in one of them that's coming up. The Crescent City Classic. It's a 10K right here in New Orleans. So this is another reason to come to New Orleans. It's the Saturday before Easter, April 19th, and that's another way that you can really get the inspiration of the culture here. There's beads, you're running around the French Quarter, you're running throughout the city. It ends in City Park, which is, our version of Central Park. So it's a great opportunity to really come out and explore New Orleans as well. So that's my city pick. Now there's another race I want to mention because this one is a little more travel girly. It takes place on Myrtle Beach, North Myrtle Beach, and it's called the Divas Half Marathon and 5K. Now that happens on Sunday, April 27th, and the reason I say it's travel girl inspired is because you cross the finish line, Paul, and they hand you roses and a glass of champagne. So, can you imagine crossing the finish line? There are tiaras. People run wearing boas, lots of blingy medals. And actually, this diva, it's called Run Like a Diva. RunLikeADiva.com is the website for that. The timing is great. They actually have races all across the country all the time, but the reason I like this one is the timing is great for spring, and then after your run, again, you're already at the beach, so it's a perfect place to relax for the rest of your vacation.
Oh, magnificent, magnificent. Tell us on the website, what can we see there and to make our lives happier?
Oh, on Travel Girl's website?
Yes.
Well, on Travel Girl's website, we've got all kinds of tips for you. I know you mentioned maybe you've seen the video I did from New York, Savvy 6 New York. Great places to see if you're going to be in one of my favorite areas of New York. One of the things that I like to do whenever I'm presenting a video on a place is choose, again, some of those little off-the-beaten-path places. With this one for Midtown New York, we talked about going to some of the little parks, a smaller park where there's a carousel, and you can throw a birthday party for your kids if you were in town for an extended time or if you planned ahead. We talked about going to one of the best steak restaurants where you can go for lunch instead of dinner and you'll still get the same great meal for a lesser price. So, these are just little tips that I like to remind people of no matter where you're going, because there's always a way to save money. There's always a way to stay safe. Like when we talk about these festivals, I'll tell you what, very important that you do your research online, because a lot of times you can always get advance tickets for a cheaper deal. I guess I shouldn't say a lot of time, but most times you can get advance tickets for a discount. Another thing that you'll find if you go online to, say, tourism board websites, a lot of times they'll have city passes or packages that give you discounts on public transportation. They'll also let you know if there are hotel deals, home rentals. For example, if you were going to go to the Blue Crab Festival or the Run Like a Diva and you wanted to go to Myrtle Beach afterwards, if you go to the website visitmyrtlebeach.com, they've got a whole listing of home rentals, hotel deals, condo rentals, all kinds of ways for you to save money when you're there. Because we've talked about this before. It's the job of these tourism boards to make sure that people coming to see their destination have all of the knowledge that they need to make the most of their trip, and that includes saving money. So they want to make sure that you're getting a deal because everybody's happier when they're saving money, right?
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. So is there any other upcoming festivals or runs that we should mention at this moment?
Well, sure. I'll tell you what. If you just want to be a spectator, now we talked about running. We talked about you're dancing at these music festivals. If you want to be a spectator, two of my favorites. One which is going to be very, very special this year, the Boston Marathon. That takes place now. I went to college in Boston. I went to Boston University. So for me, I know the background to the Boston Marathon. It takes place on Patriots Day, which it's kind of an early version of the 4th of July. You're celebrating everything that it means to have our freedom and to all the patriots who hailed from Boston. And, of course, after what happened last year, this is going to be a very special event, even more special than usual this year. And if you've been thinking about going to Boston, this might be the year to do it. So that's something to consider because even if you're not running, it's just so fun to be a spectator and then take in these events. Another one, the Kentucky Derby. Have you ever been to the Kentucky Derby, Paul?
Oh, no, but I have watched it a bunch of times. I'd love to go there. I know it's an at-site place. Actually, I sent a reporter there once. It's really cool.
Well, you definitely need to put it on your bucket list because it's fun to watch, but there's nothing like being there. The hats, the horses, the mint juleps. I mean, Churchill Downs it's such a historic, iconic part of America. And if you can go early, they have something that's called the Taste of Derby. It's kind of it's a wine and food experience a couple of days before the actual race, and it's just anything talk to the locals wherever you're going and find out some of the ways to make the most of an experience. For example, if you were coming here for Jazz Fest, I would tell people, they often think, well, I don't know if I want to go all 3 days, and people worry that it's going to sell out. The reality is, and I know the festival organizers might not be happy about this, but I can tell you from living here and having gone to the festival so many times, I would say 99% of the time, you can get a ticket outside the gate. People always have extra tickets, and usually you're going to get a deal because they're not going to charge you the Ticketmaster fees. So you're going to save yourself at least a couple of bucks. Sometimes people even give tickets away because they aren't going to use them, and they want people to come and enjoy the fun.
I hear you, Stephanie, and you're a real talk. I'm going to put that in quotes. I'm making it work. All right, that's beautiful. Stephanie, thanks so much. Last question, what's good news for you?
Good news for me is reminding people to use the buddy system when you travel and stay safe because it's not always about saving money. It's also about staying safe and making sure that we're all happy. So use the buddy system and don't let your friends get into trouble when they're traveling.
Beautiful. All right, fantastic. I don't know why it reminds me of the movie The Hangover, but it does.
Hey, just no drinking and driving, and again, just make sure, because no matter where you are, staying safe. But the buddy system is, I think, the number one way to make sure everybody stays safe.
That's very wise. Everybody's in it together. All right, Stephanie, thanks so much for sharing good news with us.
Take care, Paul. Have fun. Happy summer. Travel.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.